Good morning, welcome. This is Willow. I'm Jon Hansen, and you're gonna get a tour of our home and home studio. Right, Willow? Come on. I'm standing in front of our bird wall here in our entryway to our home. My wife is obsessed with birds. She has bird pets in the backyard that she feeds, and we collect different items that have birds on them. Some of them are from local artists. This is by Scott Boylard, which is a friend of mine. Wherever we can find birds, we'll add it to this wall. All right, so we're in my home studio. This is where I paint my pet portraits on commission. Sometimes it's a memorial portrait, which is really nice to be able to do for somebody. This is my space that I have. It's not a huge room. It's not a whole separate room. I've carved out a little section in our house to be able to do this. This was a desk purchased at a secondhand store, a post office desk. Repurposed for, I believe, $50 into this desk. Worked out perfectly. One of the best things I learned through tattooing was liquid watercolors. These were a huge game changer for me. To be able to control the saturation of them was awesome. I met my wife in June of 2014 and decided to paint her dog, Cricket, for the first watercolor I did of a pet portrait. Across from my desk in the dining room, we have this little quirky wall of animal heads of faux taxidermy, and we found these on many travels, including Brattleboro, Vermont. All right, let's talk about some old bottles. These bottles I pulled up from my backyard. I did 3 separate digs, and I probably pulled up over 200 old bottles, some of them over a century old. I live down the street from an old mill built as a trash site. They would just dump all of their trash into the ground. And like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And not only did I find these bottles, I also painted them through the watercolor course at the Art of Ed. 1 week, my final week, to have a series of paintings of bottles as big as I could paint them, and I decided to do 36 by 48 inches on watercolor paper. All right, we're in the basement where I have probably 100 more bottles that are not on display. These were ones that are not as important to me. This is probably a 1950s ketchup bottle. And it's been interesting trying to research some of these bottles and find out exactly what they were and how people used them. All right, we're gonna head out to the backyard. I live in a suburb of a suburb in Massachusetts. My wife and I are very comfortable inside our house. We've done as much as we can outside the house in the backyard to make it fun and accessible for us and our pet. So aesthetically, you know, we've added some trees this year. We just want a nice, comfortable living space to be in daily. All right, thanks for visiting. Say bye, Willow. We're gonna see you at my school next. Hey, good morning. Come on in. I have a pretty decent sized room. I have customized the heck out of this. I've painted the walls primarily darker gray and a green, which really kind of encloses the space. I want my space to feel different than the rest of the building. There are a lot of whitewashed walls in this school, and it just kind of feels like a very sterile environment. So I personally like a place that feels comfortable. I have overhead lights hanging in my room. I don't use the LED lights. I've added stickers. I've added fun things that kids like. Kids notice this right off the bat when they walk in. I started my front door painting when I was teaching 5th and 6th grade. I think it's really important for them to see a working artist. If you're in the arts, music, visual, performing, you probably do that outside of school. So I wanted kids to see an example of that from the visual arts. Just kind of some fun stuff. So if you have a way to update your space, you can paint what you want, just get approval from the principal, highly suggest doing that. On the opposite side of my door, I have created a sticker wall this year. I've created a blacklight zone for that space, and I started sticking them on the door, and then I also have them as a reward for kids. It's a really fun, easy way to give kids a reward in class. Also near my door, I have a TV that's been installed vertically, and I have put the elements and principles as a rotating slideshow right up here. This artwork is by Ashley Blevins, and if it has a USB stick input, admin absolutely loved seeing this. It's rotating, I can refer to it. It also has our district initiatives on there as well on 2 slides. So really, really fun and eye-catching way to add just a little bit of oomph to your classroom. Okay, we're going to talk about the still life shelf. This was an idea that I had about 10 years ago of having some kind of area in my room designated to small objects, toys, 3D prints, anything that kids could bring to their desk and be able to draw from life. Seeing lights and shadows, different values, so that you get a drawing that looks like this. I think it's a really great example. This is hanging up above the still life shelf for kids to see a good example. Other things that I have on the shelf, a lot of them are 3D printed. Some of them are designed by students. He designed this in Tinkercad. I thought it was fantastic. I decided to print it out and I could add that to my shelf. Really, really awesome. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so I gotta have some Star Wars figures. I do also ask for donations from parents and students. Usually at the beginning of the year, I'll send out the parent letter. I have one thing that is a real bat that's preserved in resin. Kids are always asking me, is this real, Mr. Hansen? Yep, that's a real bat, and then they get grossed out and put it back on the shelf. Next to the still life shelf, I have some news articles. I think it's important for kids to read what has been done. There's me recognized as the art teacher of the year in Massachusetts for middle school level 2020. There's an article about art making change. I have some of my watercolors hanging up from back when I was tattooing. One book that I have on my bookshelf here at school is my Art of Tattoos. So it's a lot of tattoos that I've done, some different artworks that I've done. I let kids flip through here. The first tattoo you have to do on yourself when you're apprenticing, and this picture is that. I have some old pictures of me. I believe it's important for kids to see what you might look like at that age. So if you have some old photos that you can put up around the room, I'm always getting comments, oh my God, Mr. Hansen, is this you? So it's kind of fun to show kids that aspect of me, more of my personality at home. I've created a gamification system of grading for my classroom. They don't receive letter or number grades for projects. They get XP or experience points. And by the end of the term, the higher their rank is, the better their grade's going to be. They can do additional side quests during the term and turn those in for extra credit. This translates to a letter grade by the end. They also get a portfolio grade, which they upload artwork to an online portfolio that I get to check off. They are able to also get an effort grade, which is important, and a behavior grade, and those all average together for a final grade for the term. I've been doing this for 10 years. I originally got it from a teacher who had a failed Kickstarter. Ben Bertoli was the original guy for Class Realm, and I took it over from him. I took the reins. I've updated it every year since. I've tried different things. I've subtracted things. I've added things to it. Right now it's at a pretty good space, and then every time they rank up, they can see their name and their rank as it goes across, and they're able to keep track of this during the term. If a parent emails, I haven't seen a grade uploaded, what's my kid's status? I encourage them to check their work on the online portfolio. Hey, have you seen Artsonia? Have you seen what they've done yet? You know, take a look, log in and see. And then I can also walk up and check the achievement board and say, oh, it looks like they're 5 points behind. Maybe they're missing an assignment. Let me check on that. Admin also comments on this, that they love that they can see the point values being added, that it's kind of a friendly competition in here among students. Hey, you have 5 points more than me. What can I do to get 5 points, Mr. Hansen? How about for 2 points, you sweep my room? They do it. They will do it. They'll grab a broom and they'll sweep around your room just to get some extra credit. It's amazing and it works. I have a treasure chest in front of my desk, and there are cards that I've printed that kids can flip through every time they rank up and pick a different reward. This card is Share the Wealth. Kids get to add 1 point to every kid in their class for that day. You can only do this once, so Share the Wealth. Hey, Bill just added a point for everybody. Oh my God, that's amazing. And they all clap and scream, and it's really fun. Teacher's assistant, picking out supplies, organizing, setting up for the next lesson. Fantastic card. Dice roll is a good card. I like this one. I have a 6-sided die, and whatever number they get that many XP. It's a good way to rank up, especially at the end of the term if they don't have enough points. I'd love to hear your ideas. Comment on them, see what you would add. All right, 3D printing, kind of a new area for some teachers. Some teachers have been doing it for a while. Highly encourage 3D design. You don't have to have a 3D printer to 3D design. This year, kids in my 8th grade will be redesigning our playground as a PBL lesson, or project-based lesson. The playground redesign will be done by one class, so one group of 28 kids will be taking different parts of the playground to redesign, and then do this first on paper, and then digitally printed, and then it can have a display all put together. My 3D printer was funded through a grant. It was $400 I was asking for the printer and for filament. One of the first designs that I did with a 3D printer was kids recreating their rooms at home. For me, the number one goal that kids should be doing in my room is make art. A lot of things get in the way of making art. So I have an art room rules poster that just basically lays out what's expected that I can refer to. It's very, very large, but make art is the first thing on there. So if I have to refer back to that, to any of the rules, check this out. Everybody, remind me what we're supposed to be doing. Make art. That's what I want to hear. It's time to go. You have to leave, all right? Shoot. Hey, what are you still doing here? The bell rang. You got to get out of here. Listen, the bell rang. You have to get to your next class. You can come back anytime, just, not during my lunch period.